Many thanks everyone for staying with us on Global Morning today. It's now time for us to get into the first conversation for you. Of course, if you listen to the newspaper review that we did, you can see that the issue of the scandal is almost on all the papers. But then, there are things that must be looked into. First of all, what are the possibility of certain things, certain elements, all right, in the whole scandal, the people involved? If it is possible for certain things to happen without the input of some individuals in Nigeria, all of this should be looked into because Nigerians are asking a lot of questions. So today, we'll look at national accountability, all right, as regards the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council scandal. And we have a lawyer joining us on the conversation to bring a perspective to the whole issue. He's a lawyer and, of course, is also a chartered mediator and conciliator in the person of Barrister Alexander Ogbo. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning.
Good morning. What a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is ours. Yes, the conversation is so intense. You can see that almost every national daily, most of the national daily today have a touch of it. People are writing about it everywhere. There are some things that are possible as it has to do with forgery. When you talk about maybe an ID card, you talk about maybe a letterhead, the use of the coat of arms, writing documents. But one of the things that Nigerians are finding strange in the whole scandal, the refusal, because as a matter of fact, the federal government have done a disclaimer as to the fact that that agency is a fake agency and does not exist. But then the issue of the budget, all right, the budget allocation to that very commission is where the problem is right now, the agency. So what do you think? Because there are certain things that can be done. You are a lawyer, all right? What is the possibility of these things happening the way it's being claimed by the federal government?
You know, when this issue came up to the front burner, I read quite a lot of things about it, both print and social media and all that. And I also took time to check globally how government agencies facilitate fraudulent practices, like establishing fake agencies to defraud the public by people in government. And I found out that politicians, most of the time, go by way of these kind of activities, if undetected, especially in countries where transparency and public accountability has not been taken seriously, like in Nigeria. In countries where there's issue of seriousness in transparency and public accountability, advanced countries like US, UK, and all that, you discover that issues like this will not occur. If there's even a rumored effect of it, the government officer involved will quickly resign. But you know, in Nigeria, instead of resigning, is promotion that is given to such people. That's what we have seen here. So when you look at that, politicians commit a lot of fraud and havoc for whatever reason. Because to issue a disclaimer now makes no sense. When you check where even the Accountant General's office posted a staff, grade level 10 officer, to the establishment in question, Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, PFIPC, and the request by Adeyemi Matthew for 5-star to be, seconded to him and all that, and these things were done. apart from the issue of the budget we are talking about, and the breakthrough in CBN, all right, to establish, and even their email and all that, which is government facilitated email and all that. So anybody now doing a disclaimer is being clever by half. What actually is necessary at this time with this kind of experience is that Nigerians, we need to put our feet on the ground. All the facts must be unearthed to find solution to issues like this. Not just to allow anything to lie low and all that. And you now also check where Adeyemi, when he was arrested, he made mention of someone that proper information could be got from, in the person of Dolapo Babatunde, and police investigation discovered that Babatunde have been unalived, have been killed, and we are told that fire took place, occurred in one hotel in Asokoro, and nobody knew about fire incident in Asokoro that killed a human being, and all that. It leaves so much to be desired, and it's most unfortunate. It's most unfortunate. Most unfortunate in the sense that, look, when you look at APC government, right from Buhari's time, when an ugly incident occurs and the Nigerian masses protest, the government will send security agencies to tear gas them and shoot them in most cases. But the same government will send their own protesters and safeguard them heavily to do their bidding. That happened all through Buhari time, and we are seeing a repeat of it now under this same APC government under President Tinubu. There's a young man from Edo State that is being sponsored by APC to go and chase after a very dark man and Deyanju, So that's the kind of thing. They do any kind of nonsense and use official paraphernalia to cover it up. It has been their trademark. And this one is not different. So, and that shows that there are others not yet exposed. You can remember that when the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, this lady from the South, just came on board under Buhari's regime, Tinubu regime at the inception, and exposed certain things that happened. They also counter-accused her, but mentions were made of, humongous amounts of money that people in government had access to carry out one fictitious thing or the other. But those in government were let go, and a few scapegoats were just kicked out. So that kind of thing has been going on, and it's because this country has not come to a point of accountability and transparency. That's just what is causing all this. It's most painful.
And that's a problem because, like I said earlier, so many other things you can say, well, these are forgery, okay? But the issue of budget is not something that is passed in a day.
Exactly.
And it's not something that is single-handedly done by one person. Were you surprised for that budget to be passed, all right? Not just passed, but went into the account. And we heard just this morning, CBN is doing a disclaimer too about the account. So all of this, what does it speak of our National Assembly? Because the National Assembly, all right, visited the budget severally before it was passed.
It will not be, I have not seen a disclaimer from the National Assembly, so I will not blame the National Assembly, because this is an agency, federal government agency, and very sensitive. Presidential, PF something, presidential, yes. Okay. So the National Assembly will not have any reason to doubt, and it has an office at the Federal Secretariat and has staff. So at this point, it will not be the National Assembly that will be blamed. I believe that the National Assembly will be as surprised as we are to declare that a federal government establishment that presented budget and defended it and got it approved is fake, National Assembly will be surprised. I will not blame them because they have everything that every other government agency has. They have their staff, they presented budget, they follow through. So it will not be National Assembly that one will blame at this point. The only thing that bothers one about our National Assembly is that when they do visit organizations to do their check, we don't see the National Assembly transparently going to do oversight function. They expect the establishment to grease their palms. If you grease their palms, they give you a healthy report. If you don't, then it means you are not performing. There was the case of one newly appointed DJ professor, and he got information that he was to be visited for oversight function to the office. So his PA now asked him, what have you prepared for the 8 National Assembly members who are coming? He said, of course, normal soft drinks and all that you do in a civil service. Is there anything more than that? He said, sir, if you do that, you lose your job. He said, you don't understand. He said, look, you must take out their logistics. He said, okay, logistics, very simple. Is it not a simple transportation? Is it 20,000 each? He laughed. He said, you have not actually been in public service before. That these 8 people coming, even $1 million each, they will not be happy with. And if you don't do that, the report will be that this office is non-performing. That's how they destroy offices. But if you give them what they want, you get a clean bill of health. This is the problem we have with National Assembly. It's just like even presenting a bill to the National Assembly, no matter how public spirited that bill is. If you don't bribe, they call it lobbying. If you are not having deep pockets to dish out money to members of the National Assembly, that bill will die a natural death. So it is this kind of practices that will make them not even to be able to discover errors. But if our National Assembly start working with a clear mind and all that, they can decipher and be able to detect.
Okay, to be very fair with the presidency, they came out to say, and they have maintained that they are the ones that uncovered this fraud. Maybe a lot of people won't have known if, the presidency itself did not come out to debunk. I don't know how it leaked though, but is it not also suggesting that, okay, there's a system that is now trying to work in Nigeria? Because if you look at this a few years ago, maybe we won't have gotten to this point where something as fake as an agency, this has been ongoing for a while, if you ask me. It's not the first of its kind. But this is like the first time it's, coming out in the limelight. In the open. Is this, something to give credit to this present government and say it's working?
If you talk about giving credit, when you're saying that, it is not the federal government that came out.
What's that?
It's Adeyemi.
That report.
Yes, it's Adeyemi Matthew. When he was arrested, in the course of interrogation by the police, he started mentioning figures.
To save himself. It was not him reporting per se. He did not go to the police and see something was going wrong and say, okay, I need to report this. It was basically to save my face. It's a different situation.
Yeah, not issue of saving face, because when he was arrested, let me give us an illustration now. There's something that is just currently ongoing. There's an elder statesman in this country, one of the best surgeons in Africa, Professor Nwaji somebody. Now, what's the story of Professor Nwaji? When Nnamdi Kanu was arrested and detained, at a point he complained of health complications. And the federal government sent a medical person to, diagnose him and all that. After the investigation, they gave a report showing that no, nothing was wrong. But his lawyers used a private medical officer by name Professor Nwaji, who checked and came out with a report that his health was deteriorating. And that was the real fact, which the federal government was not happy with. Last week, Professor Nwaji was bundled from his home in Enugu by the DSS and detained. One of the lawyers blew the lid open that made the Nigerian Medical Association to intervene before he was just released. You know, so we have been having this kind of behavior by this government. It's shameful. It's shameful. So it's not matter. This is not issue. That's not what we call transparency. It's when they commit and they discover that they could not hide anymore. They then come to the bunk.
But Adeyemi himself had come out to say this is not fake. He's
still insisting.
He's insisting
that this is not fake. So it's possible that maybe he was deceived because for someone to come out boldly to claim I have this, and he had all the stamps.
All the stamps posted by the federal government.
All the stamps.
Right?
So it's not his problem now.
Yeah.
It's either the chief of staff to the presidency and all of those protocols that
he fingered the chief of staff.
No, he did. He did. He said that the chief of staff made some humongous demands financially from him. That there was the one he met and there was one he couldn't. 12 point something billion he couldn't agree with, and that is where they fell out. That's where the problem started. Yes, so he made out that clear. That's just the basic thing.
But you are a lawyer as it is right now. Don't you think that could just be an accusation to save his head until otherwise proven?
The issues like that is all these things need to be properly looked into. In our laws, if you come to the Criminal Procedure Act and sections 103 to 107 and then 418 to 477 deals with issues like this. All this issue of what we call 419, all this issue of people colluding and all that, all this issue of fraudulent activities, fake agencies by the federal government. You see these laws that tabulated how such matters are handled. Under the Penal Code, Section 341 had to do with issues like that. And under our Money Laundering Prohibition Act, issues of this nature are also fully covered. So there's need for proper investigation to find out who did what and what in this. Because the way it is now, it's not just something somebody can just dismiss with a wave of the hand. There's need for proper investigation.
Okay, for me, the whole thing appears as a power toss in the sense that one person says, you just mentioned, Adeyemi claimed he was, given a target, a financial target to, meet, and then it brought about a fallout. And another party is saying, okay, if you're not going to meet my terms, then let's blow things out of proportion. Let's see who has the popularity. Let's test our popularity to see who comes out. And it's very possible that in a country like Nigeria, now all of this is just put in the public because one person is trying to prove point on that person. The moment there's an agreement somewhere, it dies off.
It dies off.
When that's, there's a compromise, everything just moves away from our faces. Right now we're enjoying the show because the other person is probably trying to prove to the other party that I'm stronger than you. But we see it happen again and again in Nigeria. So are we going to use all of this again? Just answering my question, the other question I posed,
exactly.
to prove that a government is working. But also to be fair, under this administration, the president has dismissed or sacked some of its cabinet members. And it's almost like an impossible thing in a country like Nigeria. But we see Tinubu do that and then replace with competent hands. He's someone that goes for the best of hands. And when he sees that you're not doing well, he replaces you. So maybe all of this being blown out of proportion is quite new to him. I don't know. I'm not in the system. I don't understand whatever it is that's happening. But to be fair on the president, right, we've seen him replace hands for more competent hands. So do we give him credit for all of this?
No, the president per se may not be found wanting. Because one thing politicians do is that special advisors, people holding the aces towards the president, commit atrocities and hide it. Because the president is busy and he has a wide scope of things to do. So they do whatever they can do under the name. Yeah, and that's why the president needs to fire such people when any of these things come up. So one will not blame the president at this time. He may not know anything about it entirely. You don't expect him. Nigeria is a wide place, you know, so you don't expect him to be aware. But for this thing to have come out, there have to be serious sanctions to be taken. You know, if he's abroad, some government officers should have resigned on their own.
But that can't happen in Nigeria.
It cannot happen here. It cannot happen here. But we must get to a point where it has to. So what the president is expected to do with this thing, this is not just a mere scandal. It's too grievous.
Yes.
It's too grievous. So what is expected of the president is, now this thing haven't come to the fore, the president is expected to take serious concerted action to unravel what actually the issue is and who are involved and give out the appropriate sanctions.
Kenyans are clearly pointing towards Femi Gbajabiamila and Bayo Onanuga. What actions do you also suggest?
What exactly do you think the federal government would have done under normal circumstances? Or you feel the disclaimer is just enough? No,
saying disclaimer is enough will be too bad to talk about. Issues like this is, first of all, the president is supposed to do an independent investigation. Okay. Yes, to verify. Because also a lot of things happen in politics. So there's need to verify. Because some people can also rubbish somebody's image. Yes. People do that. So, but when there's investigation, the people found culpable need to not only be sacked, but need to be prosecuted. You sack such a person, hand over the person to whatever agency like EFCC or ICPC, as the case may be, you know, to prosecute the individual. That's the way to do it. That's the kind of thing that everybody is looking up to.
All right, let's look at the issue of godfatherism, the issue of I rub your back, you rub my back in Nigeria. Because this situation is not far from it, from what Adeyemi is saying.
Yeah.
It's like there was an agreement or something, and the thing is not going as agreed or something. I don't know.
It went sour in between.
All right. Don't you think, because Priscilla said something and you concurred to it, and that's the fact that this might not be the first time this kind of thing is happening in Nigeria. This is the one that came to the fore because maybe God exposed something and there was a disagreement between the parties concerned. But just hearing Gbajabiamila, Onanuga, we don't know, many other persons might still be involved because we're talking about a very large sum of money in an economy that is dwindling right now. What do you think of this issue? Because some people will tell you in the civil service, in these agencies, there are so much going on. You hear budget, this was budgeted, and the money at the end of the day is nowhere to be found. What's supposed to be used for is not used for. You know, what do you think this situation, what message do you think this situation should pass to the government because of the issue of not holding people accountable and godfatherism, people in the system?
The
corruption. People who are, I'm asking you this because you're a lawyer. People who are there, their own function, they might not be in government, but they make things happen for their hands to be, their palm to be rubbed. What do you think, all right, should be done, and what message is this passing to the federal government, people who are responsible for these agencies and the budgeting especially?
The point actually is the whole thing boils down to the way of thinking of most of the political leaders we have. When you remember that during Buhari's government, there were reports from outside this country about financiers of terrorism in this nation, that either UAE or so named individuals they have discovered, and the Buhari government did nothing about it. So politicians use people to do all kinds of underhand deals. The same issue of terrorism, the same issue of genocide when it was raised under this present government, and the thing was escalated to US Parliament. All right? What did our government do? Instead of facing the issue of terrorism to nip it in the bud, our government started spending billions of dollars to go and launder image, hire people and pay them to tell lies to the outside world that nothing is happening. So that kind of practice is what this is. Because when you look at presidential what now for intervention and whatever, for presidential foreign intervention promotion council. So you can see that that is one of the ways the government use money to go and do one thing or the other that they believe that will facilitate their image or whatever. So that is just the truth. Like the ones who are being sponsored abroad to go and market the country, so to say, it is such establishment that they will use to formally get funds to sponsor them. So all that is pointing at is that our leadership need to actually be overhauled. But how do you overhaul that? Like you mentioned the issue of godfatherism. In Nigeria, getting good leadership is still a mirage. Because what the godfather do, when they sponsor you, they give you conditions, the positions that they will appoint those who will run it when you are in power. So you become a stooge, and you'll be used for anything. And it is even so pronounced under this government. So what I think that will help is, as Nigerians are getting more aware, as the masses are getting more aware, and ask right questions and agitate for right responses and right actions, that's the only thing that will cure it. But if you are talking of people in power, they can do anything in order to launder their image. And okay, look at the case of Dolapo Babatunde. Look at how that young man died. Look at that. And I tell you now that there was a fire incident in a hotel in Asokoro. From there, a man is gone. So the people that they fall out with, they eliminate. So it speaks so much of the kind of mindset that our leaders have. It speaks so much of it. It's agitation from the grassroots that will help to correct this. But if you are talking about people in power, they can use any means to achieve their purposes.
Well, I think this further exposes the gap we have in our institutions. There's no inter-institutional communication and synergy, because this is an institution that was formed. It had dealings with other institutions that did not know whether it was fake or not. If this wasn't exposed, it will further have dealings with, and these different institutions are not aware. So there is definitely a communication gap. Institutions.
It's not actually. It's not. This one is not matter of communication gap.
What exactly?
They are talking about presidential
foreign
forum
promotion council.
Presidential forum intervention promotion council. Presidential.
Yes.
All right. So it's rolling down from the president.
Yes.
So the communication is thorough and clear. It's not a gap.
For another institution to interact with this institution, we need to have modalities of how authentic a person is before they come into your space. Especially if you are an institution.
That is a background check from
yes,
those.
Yes, a background check, something that should be presented to other institutions. A guide, a manual, whatever it is that proves the authenticity. And that should be circulated.
I think what she's trying to say is that there is a lacuna as it has to do with background check before dealing with agencies, irrespective of how flamboyant they are.
Exactly.
No, I don't look at it from that angle. Because, you see, when a budget is passed, it's gazetted.
Okay.
It becomes official public document. And then instructions for implementation come from the relevant Ministry of Finance, Accountant General's office, and all that, CBN. Information flowing from these areas. What again is anybody investigating? Because you will be convinced that these powerful organizations have done all that is needed to do and ask you to implement. So what other background check? All you can do is to check, okay, is it coming from Accountant General's office? Is it coming from Ministry of Finance? Is it coming from CBN? If it's coming from there, There's no other thing to investigate. It means that the thing is thorough. You know, the only thing the people implementers could do, there was one of my friends that worked with the Federal Minister of Finance years ago shared with me an experience. He said that the director, one of the directors once asked him to raise some money that the director wanted to use. He wanted to use it personally, but it must pass through the process, of generating all this. And the young man now looked at the director and said that it will not be proper to do that because there's no assignment that is attached to something like that. So how will he raise this and then facilitate the money to be sent to him? And the director looked at him and said, "Are you calling me a liar?" The man said, "No, I'm not calling you a liar, but what you said is not the truth." What you said is not the truth. So when the information flows down from top, which other investigation are doing? Unless it's not coming from all those places. That's why it should have been questionable. And when interagency collaboration, the source from where it's coming that determines the reaction that it will get. That's the point.
All right. There was an article, all right, that was written on the 4th of July 2026 by Mohammed Bello Doka. And this sounds like a belief also, because Nigerians will tell you when President Buhari of blessed memory was there, majority of the people he had in his cabinet were people from his side, from the north. Then
no, that was a fact.
Okay, now
and it's repeated here. It's repeated again in this government.
Okay, the same thing. So,
yes.
So according to what Mohammed Bello is saying, he even gave instances. He said some of the things, all right, that a lot of people from the West, Yorubas, and this administration,
yes.
Do you think that can make things like this possible? As in, all right, as my person left, facilitate and all of that. Could this be an element?
It not could be. It is an element. Not whether it could make it possible if it fastens the process of getting it done, because these are people who are put there, okay, for their loyalty, personal loyalty to the person in power. So to do something like that is very easy with this kind of arrangement. A government that wants to be transparent will not do such. When Jonathan was in power and the opposition was just making noise, but you see Jonathan picking people from all over the place. That was a transparent government. But what we saw under Buhari and what we are seeing here now under Tinubu leaves much to be desired. And the essence of that is to do anything they want to do, anyhow they want it, and at whatever pace. So it's not whether it could, it fastens the carrying out of such assignments. It fastens it.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much, Barrister, for joining us on the conversation today. This is the much time will allow us on this very conversation. As events unfold regarding this saga, we will let you in, probably, so we could talk more, because we're still waiting. Like you said, the National Assembly have not spoken, all right? And of course, apart from the statement from the federal government doing a disclaimer, people are still looking into the matter and, of course, bringing out evidences where meetings were held, some, where the office is located and all of that. So as events unfold, we'll still let you in for more conversation. Thank you very much, Barrister Alexander Ogbo.
It's quite a pleasure to be a part of this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right. Everyone, this is the size of the first conversation. We'll get into the second conversation as we look at the activities of the Independent National Electoral Commission going into 2027 election. There is a running up and down by political parties as it has to do with candidacy as we speak. But then what's the role of INEC? We'll bring you all of that with our guest after this break. Stay with us.